Hi there, welcome along. I did say we get down to this Lilliput monitor review at some point, and hopefully this is it. So without further ado, the Lilliput. Now if you've seen the other videos, you've been aware of the trials and tribulations we've been having. However, the monitor itself is excellent. It's the best way to describe it. It does the job exactly as you would expect, and it does it well. It's the only way I can really let you see it at the same time. I only have one camera that does video, 1D Mark IV. So there's something I did notice. You're not quite getting full frame. There's just the little borders. I suspect that's because the Mark IV has a 1.3 crop. It's an H sensor, and I suspect this is what it is. There is the option to change. Now without doubt, one of the first things you actually need to do is calibrate the monitor to what you actually see on the LCD screen of your camera. This confused me a little. It shouldn't have done, unfortunately it did, and this is due to my ignorance in not using a monitor previously. Quite simply, when I first set it up, the image seen here was obviously a lot brighter than what I would normally have seen in the LCD, and this led me to underexpose the video I'd actually done at the time. Now, okay, it was correctable alright in software. If it was something that you should be aware of and do first initially, and the only way I could do it was to unplug it, plug it back in, to actually get to see that this, what you viewed here, represented what the actual camera was recording. So once you've got it set up to record the same as seen on the LCD, then life becomes so much easier. As I said, obviously the brightness, I said it comes up a tad, because that's probably more representative of what's recording. As I said, you can get a false sense of security thinking that everything that you're seeing it is bright, it's properly exposed, and all the rest of it, and it isn't. So when you get it back into your PC, or I presume that's what most of us will let it on, and the software, then you'll see this could be underexposed, which isn't a disaster for most things, but overexposure could be, especially if you're blowing a load of highlights and such like. We all know what that can be like, and non-recoverable. Once it's blown, it's blown. So something you should be aware of. First thing to do is calibrate the monitor to what's actually seen in your LCD screen. Once you've done that, then life becomes so much easier. Well, there we go. Don't change the contrast while the camera's recording. It switches it off. So that rather limits exactly what I can do. That's a couple of times now it's happened. So the video input impulse obviously is feeding back to the camera and basically switching it off. So all the different functions, they are easily laid out, they're easy enough to work. I think I've showed that easy enough. Push the button, the menu screen comes up, turn to the next knob and button, and brightness, contrast, saturation, etc. They're all relatively easy to put on, and press again, you get your key configuration, picture menu, source menu, which is HDMI for myself, and miscellaneous. It goes off by itself if you just leave it long enough. The same applies to the saturation, the tint, and the contrast. All relatively straightforward. There's nothing particularly difficult in operating it. As I said, the first thing to do is get it calibrated. Once you've got it calibrated, life gets so much easier. The other thing is this. This for me is a slight problem. the battery. It's bulky, and as you've seen the other videos, I've explained that it's actually quite heavy as well. It doesn't weigh a ton, don't misunderstand me, but the other model that my colleague had a flat battery, very similar to the actual battery holder here, and basically took up that space and seemed a lot more efficient. I presume because this has got a higher ratio and a higher output, it needs or requires more power for longer, and this is why we've ended up with this Sony battery. I said I haven't looked at the Panasonic one, which it takes as well, but on looking at pictures, they look very similar. I said I already explained the rear, but I'll do it again since we're going through the review. Fairly simple. An on-off switch, an XLR power in, a mains power in, obviously the battery holder, HDMI in, HDMI out, and these VY videos in and out sockets, which I previously explained. The chances of me using them are probably remote to none, but on balance, an excellent bit of kit. And for the price range, it's I'll go as far to say it's brilliant. Makes life an awful lot easier if you are videoing. The other models might be more suitable for you if weight is a problem or bulk. As I said, with this battery, there are other battery options, but when I looked at them, they're very expensive, and I don't know if there would be any lighter. Especially if you're using something like a sort of glide track or some sort of balancing system, then this putting it on might prove problematic. Anybody who can come up with a cheap battery which is lighter and lasts approximately the same with less bulk, please get in touch. I certainly be interested in buying one, especially if, same again, any of you out there know where that can be purchased. Please let us know. Please leave the comments below. Be glad to hear them. Other than that, as I said, an excellent bit of kit, especially for the price and what others are charging for something that does exactly the same. I've used it a couple of times now. It saved my life practically the other day there when the interviewer didn't turn up, so I had to conduct the interview for one of the sports events that I cover, and the ability to be able to obviously see what we were doing made life so much easier. So would I recommend it to buy one? Yeah. Would the buying experience particularly pleasant? Probably not, because of the problems, but most of us know that the vast majority of sales go through with absolutely no problems. You get your kit, whatever it is you pay for, it arrives safe and sound, and you use it and get on with it, no problems. But be aware that if you do have a problem in the UK, that Amazon do not cover postage on the returns, as it's seen as a service. The item will have to go back to China. The postage is costly, however they do say they cover it, and to be fair to them, eventually they did pay me, so no qualms in that regard. So the buying experience, while it was a bit difficult, we eventually got it resolved. I've got my equipment, I've got my money back, and I'm perfectly happy with that. As I said, I'm perfectly happy with this, so go out and buy one. You certainly won't regret it. As I said, there's various models out there. This is one that's a bit higher spec, and as I said, once you start using it, invaluable. And this is the first I've used them, and certainly made a big difference to video. I certainly don't like particularly being this side of the camera. I don't think I'm particularly good at it. The other side, I feel a lot more secure and a lot more capable, shall I say. Perhaps I've got a face for radio, who knows. I might, I know you again, I make a couple more videos, but hopefully, as I said, from that side of the camera. So if you'd like to subscribe, please do so. Click the usual buttons, and I'll be glad to hear your comments if you want to make them. Hopefully this is a bit more upbeat, and hopefully you'll go out and buy one. For the price, and the output. Excellent.